My wonderful people, I want to specially welcome you to Africa Development Network with Barr.Ikenna Emmanuel. I am the international president of the Africa Development Network. We're going to be coming live and sharing a lot of videos that will create the necessary platform for the development and the transformation of our continent, Africa. This broadcast and this network television is sponsored by FAITHHOUSE Transformation Assembly and iGold Africa. iGold Africa is an acronym. I means Initiative for Good Governance, Leadership and Economic Development, and also by Leeds Business and Finance Development Company Limited. These three arms, registered arms, are the major sponsors of the African Development Network. Please, I would like you to buckle up yourself and put yourself together. But before you do that, make sure that you click on the like button and also the share button so that you can actually get updates on further videos we're going to be doing when it has to do with the Africa Development Network. I want everyone that is listening to me to realize that it is time for Africa to wake up. It is time for Africa to make progress. Excuse me. It's time for Africa to make progress in her development. For more than 50-something years now, many African countries have actually gotten their independence, but it looks as if that things are still the way they are. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at different sessions as time will permit us so that you'll be able to comprehend and understand it. Please, never you ever miss any of these sessions because we're going to be looking at different topics and I'm going to be listing out understanding the wealth of nations. We're going to be looking at understanding the wealth of nations, how nations like Africa needs to develop their wealth and instead of depending on international monetary funds and other first world countries. We're going to be looking at all nations are equally wealthy. Every nation is equally wealthy. Every nation is equally wealthy, just like Africa, we're as wealthy as the United States, but it has to do with our ability to take advantage of what we have. We're going to be looking at the natural resources and its comparative advantage when it has to do with time. We're going to be looking at how Africa time has destroyed our development, how Africa time has actually destroyed our development. No, we have this mentality. I grew up in Africa, Nigeria to be precise, and we have this concept of Africa time. And we have seen the way Africa time has destroyed the development of Africa. We're going to be looking at the concept of the Africa time, understanding the value of time. This is very, very important. And we're going to be looking at how time wastage has affected Africa's development. We're going to be also looking at how Nigeria and other African nations can double their GDP. Wow, this is going to be amazing. This is why you can't afford to miss any of these sessions. How Nigeria and every other African nation can double their GDP. We're going to be looking at the statistics and economics of time, the way forward for our nation, Nigeria, the way forward for Africa, whether it's Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, whether it's Mali, whether it's Liberia. Everyone that is watching this Africa Development Network, you need to realize that it's time for Africa to wake up. Because of the COVID-19, the COVID-19 has of exposed us to realize that it's time for Africa to look inwards and begin to work towards the development of Africa. We're also going to be looking at the fourth thing. The fourth thing we're going to be looking at is the human capital development. The human capital development, I've come to realize that it is key when it has to do with the development of Africa. We're going to talk about the need for human capital development. We're going to talk about how we can use the human development factor to develop our nation. Take, for instance, our nation, Nigeria, we're close to about 200 million. Could you imagine that? The reason why China looks as if it has become a first world nation and is shaking the economy of systems is because China is taking advantage of the 1.something billion people living in China. That's a whole lot of human beings that we can actually convert, that they converted in the process of time, and this has actually given birth to the development of China. So Nigeria, we can also do that. Africa, we can also do that. And the 15 we're going to be looking at, what we're going to be doing with our time. We have a lot of time in Africa that we need to give attention to a lot of things around it. The 16 we're going to be looking at has to do with the place of religion. The place of religion. I've been in national transformation programs for more than getting to 2 decades now, and I've come to realize that religion, especially the church, is the catalyst for national transformation. So it doesn't matter or whatever you are doing at this particular point in time, if you are a church person, I mean if you're a Christian, because I've come to realize that America, Dubai, United Kingdom, Ukraine, and most of these developed countries like Sweden and Germany, they had judo ethics, judo principles and values that they brought into their system that gave birth to the transformation of this nation. We're going to be looking at that, and it is important that everyone that is listening to me, you go to one church or the other, you serve in one religious system or the other. We have come to realize that the impact of religion, especially Christianity, when it has to do with the development of nations, can never be overemphasized. And also, the 7th thing we're going to be looking at is how to become an economically competitive nation. One thing I've come to realize that this life is all about competition. There's a lot of competition when it has to do with business. There's a lot of competition in the political arena. As a student of economic development and international relations, I've come to realize that until we bring ourselves as Africans in the purview of international decisions, we cannot develop as a nation. I want us to know, Africans, everybody watching me now, and even non-Africans that are listening to me now, all over the world, they have come to realize that Africa is going to champion a lot of development. That's why China is investing in Africa. That's why America is investing in Africa. That's why other developed countries are all interested in Africa, especially my country, Nigeria. It is high time that everyone that is a Nigerian that is going to come across this video all over the world, wherever you are, it's time for us to begin to think home. It's time for us to begin to look at the necessary things around us and start taking advantage of the system. This is, in a nutshell, what we're going to be sharing in this video and the subsequent video. I'm going to be making it a 15 minutes or 20 minutes video so that you can actually have a comprehension of the whole package together. This is going to be mind-blowing. You can't afford to miss this opportunity for you to take advantage of the necessary information. We're going to be employing 4 basic approaches. We're going to be looking at the faith dimension. We're going to be looking at the leadership dimension. We're going to be looking at the business dimension. We're going to be looking at the success dimension. I want us to know one thing. If you're an African that is watching or we come across this video, that God will never do it for us. God will never do it for us. Africa is filled with a lot of religious people. A lot of prayers go on. A lot of churches are all over. The COVID-19 has exposed the weakness of the system. It has told us that it's time for the church, it's time for the people of God to rise up and begin to take advantage of the system. 2019, I ran for the governorship election of my state, Imo State, Nigeria, as a pastor, also as a lawyer, as a human development expert. And I have come to realize that power is very, very imperative when it has to do with the development of a nation. Well, once we have the right leadership, once we have the right people who are visionary, transformational leaders, who are visionary, who fear God, who have character, who have integrity, who have the value for human lives, once we have them in any system, be it an educational system, economic system, media, entertainment, sports, culture, family system, there's going to be transformation and development. And this is what Africa is lacking at this particular point in time. And also we need to also know and begin to value our time. We waste a lot of time watching entertainment, staying online, wasting all available time that God has given to us as a nation, as a continent. So it's time for us to revisit our value for time. We're going to be looking at also our value for work. There's a lot of marketing about laziness in Africa. And these are the things that I'm going to be addressing in this Africa Development Network. A lot of laziness is being peddled everywhere. Just like in my country, everybody just wants free money, but just like the old saying that says, there is no free food in Freetown. There's no free food in Freetown. The value of hard work has actually left the shores of Africa. And once we cross over to developed countries, we see values of hard work being marketed by China. Everybody is involved in one act or the other. And that's why the country is developing. And that's why the country has actually developed. And they are actually trying to take over the world. So it's time for we that are Africans, we are hardworking. We are not lazy people. Nigerians are not lazy people. But we need to begin to revisit it. We need to keep away from the quick money syndromes and schemes that are being marketed everywhere. We're going to be looking at the issue of industrialization, the issue of establishment of factories. Yes, churches need to start establishing factories. I'm a pastor. We're working towards that because there are no jobs. We have the solution that Africa is looking for. We need to start establishing factories. We need to start building hospitals. We need to start creating systems that we accommodate our graduates all over the nation, Nigeria, all over Africa. We don't need to start going to Sweden. We don't need to start going to Canada. Can you imagine the volume of young people less than 40 years who are eager to travel to Canada? They do Canada visa, UK visa, Australian visa, China visa, Dubai visa. I believe that there's going to be a reversal just by the time we're going to be through with these Africa Development Network. We're going to be pushing a lot of information. We're going to stir up a revolution. Please, my dear, watching this video, you are part of the people that I was sent. You need to connect with me. We need to work together. Are you a lawyer? Are you a pastor? Are you a businessman? Are you a technocrat? Are you a professional, a photographer, cinematographer? Are you an ICT expert? Are you a software development expert? We need to work together. We need to begin to build our systems together to make sure that Africa becomes the continent that the whole world is waiting for. The earnest expectation of all creation, they are waiting for the manifestation of the African continent. America knows it, Donald Trump knows it, Putin knows it, all the presidents of the whole world, their eyes are on Nigeria, especially their eyes are all here in Africa. Everybody is interested in what goes on in Africa. And this is time for all God's people everywhere that is going to be coming across this video. All of you everywhere, you need to put our resources together. We need to put our intelligence together. Whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a trader, whether you are a young person, you are involved in agriculture, you are involved in medicine, you are involved in ICT, you are involved in entertainment, you are involved in media, you are involved in education at all levels, primary, secondary, university, skilled and unskilled, are you an entrepreneur, you are a startup person. We need to begin to put our resources together, our intellectual resources together, our financial resources together towards the development of our continent, Africa. It's time for Africans to come back. And you that is watching me this day. You are part of the team that God has asked me to navigate together and bring together. We're building up close to about 3 million Africans. 3 million Africans that will change the world. 3 million Africans that will change the world. God asked me to raise for him 3 million Africans that will change the world. And you are part of them. You are part of them. I'm not talking about religious people. You are part of them. And I know that this video has inspired you already. So we need to work together to realize this dream and let the whole world come down to Africa and invest. And our country, Africa, will receive unusual transformation. And before I leave this video, please make sure you click the like button and also share the video with your friends, with other like-minded persons, so that we can connect together. So for further contact, you need to look at for further information, and you want to reach out to us and you want us to work together, please, you can look at that number, or you have a pen, you can copy it, +234 803 500 3594. I repeat, +234 803 500 3594. If you are in Nigeria, just dial 0803 500 3594. You can also check us up on our website www.i-goldafrica.com www.i-goldafrica.com. But before I go, this African Development Network is brought to you by Faith House Leadership Center, which is the church that I pastor, and iGold Africa. iGold Africa is an initiative for good governance, leadership, and economic development. And our company leads Faith House Business and Development Company Limited. I remain your friend, Barr.Ikenna Emmanuel. Till I see you next time, God bless you, and go and share this information with your friends. Thank you.